Hi Tanya, this is the video that I told you I would make for you to show you how to add a new tab to the Maps and Schedule section. So obviously the first step would be to go to the actual route in question that you want to add a tab to, which I've done here. You can see I've gone ahead and added this one in, and I will backwards engineer what I've done here and show you exactly how to do it. So and this is, as you know, this is all mostly done in HTML. So if you switch over to HTML view, I'm going to point out a couple of things that are really important that you see. So right at the top here, these items that say LI, list items, each of these represents one of the tabs on the interior of the maps and routes pages on each individual route. So you can see this: the map, schedule, inbound, outbound, and I've added this left and right tab. So each of these lines, you'll notice it has a little number next to it. That's called the tab ID. And the ID represents, basically it tells it when you click on this thing, open tab number 4. When I click on this thing, open tab number 3, and so on. And we've labeled them here, lefts and rights, as left and rights. So I created tab number 4 where there was previously only tab 0, 1, 2, and 3. And likewise, if you want to make a separate tab for left and a separate tab for right, you can do that here by making tab number 5 and calling it rights, calling this one lefts, and so on. So that's how you make the tab itself. But without doing the next step that I'm about to show you, those tabs themselves won't actually have any content in them. So let's just do lefts and rights on one for the time being, and then I'll let you determine whether or not there should be 2 tabs there or not. And keeping in mind that you do have a limited space available for the tabs. So if it makes sense to have it in one tab, then I would recommend doing that. So now that we have defined that there is a 4th tab to be used, if we scroll down a little bit, this is where you start seeing the tab content. So I'm just going to have you copy them, but don't copy this top one, because if you see right here, it's got this tag on it. Basically, that means tab 0 should be the default state, the default tab that's open. So we don't want to have 2 default states because it will be confused. So just jump down to the second next line here under tab number 1. You can see I've labeled them all out for you. And copy that. So that will be basically what it's saying here is this is the tab. This is the tab ID that I want you to look at when someone clicks the button up here. And then this is your content, and then this is your closing div for this up here. And that's really what you need to copy, and that's what you'll need to make a new tab. So if we scroll all the way down to the bottom to add a new tab to the end of the section, you could see that I've got one right here, which I will just go ahead and delete for you so you can see me add it again. So what I'm going to do, basically, after this closing div for the tab above it, and you want to make sure you're doing it outside of this div above it, and there will be 2 divs at the end. You can just leave those alone. In fact, I'll just bump it down the way so it's not confusing. So you'll have your closing div here, and then you can paste in what you've just copied from up above. Now, the only thing you need to change here for this new tab to work properly is to put the number next to tab ID that you made up above. So it was number 4. So if you make a 5th tab, it needs to say tab 5. If you make a 6th tab, it needs to say tab 6, and so on. And that's so when people click on tab number 4, it will know to take them to the content that's within this div right here. So once you have your ID here, you can go in and put in whatever content you want to have in here. Testing 1, 2, 3, lefts and rights, and so on. Whether that be an image or text or a button that says click here to download PDFs, I'll let you determine the best way to go about that. But that's really all you have to do. If we switch back over into design view and scroll down, you'll notice that it has now put that content in here. So for consistency purposes, I think on the routes and maps, we actually have used images. So if images make sense, then you can use images, or you can have your users click to download PDFs if you think that that would be more beneficial for them. So just to quickly recap, step 1, copy one of the lines up here and change the tab ID to the next number in sequential order, and then change the description, which will display on the actual tab itself. And then scroll all the way down to the bottom, paste in one of your sample tabs, and change the div ID here to the number that you made up above, and input your content. So that should really be about it. So if we push update, and click back over to Maps and Schedules, and click on 1A Market Square, which is the one I was just doing the sample for, you can see that we now have left and rights. Again, that's tab ID number 4. And so based on what we did, when I click on this, it knows to pull the content that we put into the tab ID that we labeled 4. So you can see based on our space here, we are running out of room. You maybe can get one more tab in there depending on the length of the name that you call it. So do keep that in mind. It will wrap down to the next line. It just won't look as pretty as it could otherwise. So if it makes sense to condense the left and rights, again, I would recommend doing so. If you have any questions or you get stuck on anything, you have this video and you also know how to get hold of me, so please ask, don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions. Thanks.